mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Sharp a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. Couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's spit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we live, we open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day.
Start. Big day. Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Welcome in. Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by RMB Builders, and we're live on our campus here at Click Here Digital, where daily we bring you the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember to hit that like button, share button, comment button. RMB building us every single day, rmbbuilders.com online, and remember RMB Builders on Instagram. Our phone line brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. Shout out to Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, and the crew over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Nobody on the phone line today. We got a couple of guests coming in, including Jacques Doucet will be here at 8 a.m. We'll talk to him about the week ahead for LSU as the Tigers travel to Oxford. They'll be over at Ole Miss for a 5 o'clock kickoff.
Sports Director JD?
On Saturday, yes, and discussing the new promotion for the big guy. I wonder if he'll have his driver drop him off for his segment this morning.
One step away.
That's right.
Ron,
How
Steve
times
Schneider.
Ron, stay in it.
Steve Schneider, after a long, illustrious career with WAFB, announced his retirement over the weekend, which paves the way for JD to be the sports director at WAFB. So congratulations to both of those, Steve Schneider and to Jacques. We'll talk to him a little bit about that when he gets here at 8 a.m.
It's been announced, huh? Sounds great. So,
I don't know. Are we breaking news?
That would be the
I
upset.
can't imagine.
Yeah, it'd be the upset of the
What's
century.
the other choice
Good
here?
Lord,
Yeah.
right?
Ron.
Yeah, Ron. That's you. Get
It's gonna be
ready.
a future Ron.
I mean, that would be the upset of the year.
Absolutely.
I mean,
JD has to be favored by a lot.
I mean, we got to be just.
10,000 to 1.
Is there a field?
I don't. Yeah.
I mean, I guess they
We'll let JD talk about it.
Right.
In his
I
car.
feel like we're getting into the woods here.
Yeah.
We're getting into the woods. I feel like we might get JD out of
Yeah.
the gig.
Congratulations.
Yes, to everyone.
Good game.
We will talk to Matt Bowers. Matt Bowers, who you probably recognize the name. You see his car. You see his names. You see his name all over car dealerships all over South Louisiana. He's a former Ole Miss baseball player and a huge Ole Miss fan, alum. He and I have gotten close just through business and working relationships, and actually through the AAU basketball circuit, where his team is just, I mean, it is incredible to see the program that he has built, and that's where we really kind of met. But he knows a lot about Ole Miss athletics, knows the state of Ole Miss football, is really dialed in over there, has good relationships with a lot of people on campus, and he loves Ole Miss. So we will talk to him a little bit about the matchup this week and what it's like, as he is a very successful auto dealer and businessman down in throughout the South, and will be here at 8:30 this morning.
Big on the Grove.
Yeah, we'll see. So we'll see what the atmosphere is going to be
gosh
like.
almighty.
And look, I think that this is a time where you're really going to find out about Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss. You know, I think that this week for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss is an enormous week. I mean, for as much as they put into last week, who do they typically play after Alabama? I mean, this is not a usual spot, obviously, for the LSU Ole Miss game, where they usually meet up around Halloween weekend, notoriously. But for whatever reason, this year the schedule has been just kind of moved around, and now Ole Miss is here in late September, or actually on the 1st of October.
They had Arkansas last year.
Did they beat them?
42-20. No, they lost. 42-27.
Damn,
I mean,
it's a tough week for Lane
this is a very similar situation
to like
Right.
LSU.
for Kiffin in the sense of, hey man, you built up last week where it was, you know, it was the Super Bowl almost for the social media. You don't see him on social media this week.
That's right.
You don't hear him talking this week. I mean, it's just built up for that game, and now he's 0-5 in that game, and the week after, you got LSU coming to town. Like, I mean, you're still probably licking your wounds here on Wednesday if you're in Oxford. So this is a huge week for Ole Miss, as big for LSU. I don't want to, peek over the fence and tell you about what's going on the other side, but I mean, that has to be a storyline that we'll talk to Bowers about, just kind of, what is the feeling there of building this Alabama game up? Because we have seen this, right? Again, I mean, this is something that LSU fans have absolute, like, you've got immediate feelings on this. Like, you know exactly what this looks like, feels like, and kind of the story of how it flows afterwards. I mean, for years, the Alabama game would be built up as LSU's Super Bowl. They would fall in that game, and then they could never put the program back on track to really have any significant end to the year. For Ole Miss, this thing is, I mean, it's not even October yet, and the wheels are a little wobbly. If LSU comes in this weekend and punches you in the mouth and knocks you on your back, I mean,
Back on the mat.
where's the program go? So, interesting to think about, interesting to talk about. We'll talk about that with Bowers coming up here at 8:30 this morning. We've also got some Brian Kelly sound from earlier this week that we haven't gotten to, that we didn't get to, we will let you hear. We'll also look at some numbers as far as the quarterbacks around the country right now, and we've mentioned this NFL draft coming up in the spring, and it is going to be the year of the quarterback. For as much as the NFL draft, you look for the next and who's going to be the next prospect, this is going to be the class of QBs that you really look at and circle, but just because of what these guys are doing at the college level. I mean, you start with a guy like Michael Penix up at Washington, and he is really just kind of ripping through the Pac-12 right now. Over the weekend, 19 of 25, 304, 4 touchdowns versus Cal. He is averaging 409 passing yards per game. He leads the nation. That's 57 more than Shedeur Sanders. Penix has also thrown 16 touchdowns compared, if you're thinking Jaden Daniels, who had another big weekend versus Arkansas where he threw for 320 yards. He's right there up in the mix as well as some of the best in the country, right there on the heels of Penix in some categories from throwing the football. So the quarterbacks, when you think of Penix to Daniels and everybody in between, that includes Caleb Williams, Quinn Ewers, Jordan Travis, Bo Nix, Drake May, Sam Hartman. I mean, guys that are going to be high-round draft picks and potential franchise quarterbacks all playing college football this season has really made the games and made the sport interesting to watch. I mean, watching football all day on Saturday was easy. I mean, sometimes that's hard to do. I mean, just because football can get boring, bad quarterback play can really turn you off. I mean, there's just, lack of execution, and with now as many TV commercials that run during the game, it's easy to check out.
Oh.
Right? I mean, it's easy to kind of like leave it and
Phone
just
gets hot.
forget it and come back and watch the YouTube highlights or watch the wrap-up shows later in the evening to see how it finished. But with this quality of quarterback play, football is easy to watch. I mean, it's Notre Dame, Ohio State. You know what I mean? Like, Ohio State's quarterback's not that good, but you're watching Notre Dame and you're thinking, I mean, they've got a functional quarterback.
They could switch quarterbacks. It'd be scary.
Ohio State, Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam. That's what made me wonder when you look at this list, and this is obviously like the list of potential Heisman winners. You see Michael Penix, Caleb Williams. You went down the list. When you look at the NFL draft, where do you see Jaden Daniels in that category?
I mean, I think he's playing himself into like a third to fourth, second to fourth round pick. I mean, what does Jaden Daniels not do that an NFL quarterback is looking for? I mean, Jaden Daniels to me he's got a full skill set.
Right.
I mean, if I was critiquing Jaden Daniels for the next level, I would just say you need to gain a little weight.
Gain a little weight and look better on the deep ball. I guess more accurate with the deep ball. That would be it.
I mean, he's proving like over the last couple of weeks
that will throw it. Now let's put it in the bucket, which I think he did. You saw that throw to Malik Nabers in the corner of the end zone against Arkansas.
State?
No, against Arkansas and State and Brian Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's been able to prove that he could put those 30-yard passes in the bucket. I think you want to see, if there's one more thing, it's when it gets to 35 to 40 yards down the field, where you can still kind of lead them and put it in front of them. I'm only saying that because NFL-wise, when you look at the list, like Quinn Ewers, Caleb Williams is going to go probably first overall. Mm-hmm. All these guys are probably going to go in the first or second round. And I just was wondering where Jaden Daniels falls in that mix, because it felt like last year, there's a reason he came back. And it was probably for this type of run where he could play himself into being a NFL quarterback and not have to. I think coming into LSU, if he was looking at the NFL, it wouldn't have been at quarterback. And now it feels like he had definitely not only could play the position in college, but is projected to be a NFL quarterback, and it might be a second to third round pick as opposed to a fifth to seventh round pick.
It's the quality.
The leap is there.
The quality of quarterback play is in the sport, and LSU may have the best quarterback in the SEC when you're talking about Daniels and his efficiency as just the way he operates right now. So it's fun to watch all these guys, man. I mean, even guys like Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma is a player. I mean, Connor Wegman, before he went down, was really trending in the right direction. Max Johnson looks like he's going to be able to keep that offense ticking at a high level. I mean, I was even watching that Miami-Texas A&M game, and I was pretty impressed with the Tyler Van Dyke kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I watched him play last year, and he was puking all over himself.
Right.
I mean, like a year later, he looks like he is very, like
comfortable
functional
in the offense.
spot.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he runs it. He's comfortable. He's calm out there. It just the quality play of quarterback makes football easier to watch. I mean, I think that's a very obvious statement, but college football right now has a surplus of quality quarterbacks that can play the position, which I think is evident by by the ratings and how much people are watching.
And I think this is why you're seeing so much parity around college football. How many SEC quarterbacks are on this list?
Yeah, right.
I'm looking at a mock draft right now.
Oh, there you go. But that's why I think you're seeing some of these teams that are like SEC teams losing to out-of-conference scheduled teams where it's other teams in Power 5 schools have quarterbacks. The SEC coming into the year, we knew that the SEC was down in quarterback play with a lack of returning starters. Everybody else around the country was able to either get one in the transfer portal or return their guy. And you're seeing that parity play out in college football this year where it's a free-for-all. Like you talk about if Ole Miss is able, if they don't get off the mat against LSU, you have 3 losses, but you look around the country, like everybody's going to have an opportunity to have 3 losses at the end of the year.
No, the parity around college football is as tight as it has.
This is 2007.
As I can remember it, right? I mean, like it is. There is a legitimate open race for everyone from Washington to Texas to Georgia to LSU to Alabama to. I mean, there are Miami. I mean, there are teams, USC, name brand teams that are still alive, and the door feels open. I mean, that 12-team playoff can't get here fast enough. Think about the 12-team playoff with these quarterbacks. I mean, this is legitimately like the NFL postseason.
By a year.
Michael Penix isn't even a projected first-round pick.
Really?
Injury history.
Yeah, his injury history.
Coach, he throws a beautiful football.
He does, but his injury history is long. That injury sheet is long.
He's old, too, isn't he?
Yeah.
But Caleb Williams obviously would be the first pick. Then they have Drake May at 3 to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they've given up on him already?
J.J. McCarthy at 7 to the Raiders.
Wow. They don't have Quinn Ewers before J.J. McCarthy?
Quinn Ewers is coming back.
Quinn Ewers isn't even on this docket. Shador Sanders to the Minnesota Vikings.
That would be electric.
Riley Leonard from Duke to Seahawks.
Player.
And that's it for the first-round quarterbacks. Everything else is – they got Malik going 6.
I can't believe they don't Coach, Malik Nabers right now. I mean, who is a scarier wide receiver in college football than Malik Nabers?
Nobody.
Really? I mean –
Marvin Harrison's hurt.
Yeah, he is hurt. That was scary.
Yeah.
I was glad he got up from
Could have been way worse.
Very, very bad. Washington's got 3 wide receivers that could play in the SEC and be like top 10 wide receivers in the league. Like they got freak shows at Washington. But Malik Nabers, to me, they've done everything with, like you've seen people do, like 2 weeks in a row, you've seen Arkansas and Mississippi State like shade to him, try and take him out. They played him the one-on-one stuff. He's going to burn everyone.
I mean, the way he creates separation is just he makes it look easy.
He's the scariest wide receiver in college football right now. He's the most fearful wide receiver in college football right now. I mean, he's in the discussion of it. There's, that's probably a class of 3. Yeah. Malik Nabers probably bats leadoff in that group.
I'd go 4.
Keon Coleman. Mm-hmm. Malik.
And there's from Washington.
There's 2 at Washington.
Yeah.
Really. But let's just throw one of them in there.
The one from Washington and Marvin
Harrison, right.
So I'd say 4.
And out of those 4 right now.
Malik. I'm going Malik. I watched them all 4 play this weekend. I'm still going Malik.
He's Antonio Brown, man.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you. Wait till he catches one of these little comebacks, one of these little crossers, and, does just like the little stutter step, makes one person miss, and just runs away from everybody.
Does the Jamar Chase against Vanderbilt where you're like, oh, you got that kind of juice?
Whoa.
Yeah.
He didn't get touched.
Put it in 5th gear.
He didn't, nobody even, grazed his jersey.
People got farther away. And I think you saw, when you see that, we were talking about it yesterday, Stewie, that little creep route he runs for the touchdown against Arkansas, that's where it looks like Antonio Brown. It's like you can turn it on at the drop of a hat.
He walked off the line, and then he just hit him with a little.
And I love how they use him pre-snap, where they motion him where nobody can get him, nobody can jam him.
Get hands on him. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, because that's where if you can give him a free start, you can forget it. Really, I mean, you can forget it. I mean, it's
Canadian football.
It is. I mean, it's him in the open, and it's him playing one-on-one, which he's won nearly every one-on-one battle this year. I mean, has he lost once? Did he have a drop at Florida? I mean, I guess it was a bad throw.
Yeah, I mean, he slipped and fell in the interception. I think he probably still would have contended for that one, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And that one-on-one against Arkansas on the sidelines where he fights for the ball, like that was
that's
a
grown
contested
Yeah,
catch.
I mean,
That's a grown man
that's
catch.
vintage Neighbors. You know, I mean, like that's just
Mine.
Michael Clayton hands. Take that away from you.
The only thing that makes me nervous about Malik is you saw it in the Arkansas game too. That shoulder is clearly still bothering him a little bit, but he's a guy that's not going to say a word about it. But every time he kind of falls on that shoulder a little bit, you can see him take a beat. You're like, oh, this again.
This thing hurts.
This thing hurts. But he's going to, obviously it feels like he's going to play through it, but you can just kind of see he's grimacing and get him to the bye week. And I think he just needs that time off, but he ain't getting it right now.
Yeah.
But now I think you have to go to Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin is tweeting. He tweeted out some Bible verses.
Oh,
and
God.
then he tweeted out the man in the arena. And then he tweeted out yesterday morning at 6:12 just a picture of the football field. So he's back to work.
No trash talking.
No trash talk. Just a lot of get off the mat, dust yourself off, beat LSU.
Remember, Daily, we originate from our campus, our home here at Click Here Digital. Love being a part of the team over here at Click Here Digital. Great team. Over 120 employees helping you with a full-service digital marketing agency and rounding out digital marketing plans for you. Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you're at on social media, and you see ads being served. That's Click Here Digital. That's the capability they have, and they do it at the best around the country, and you can find out for yourself. Online, clickheredigital.com is where you find them. You can learn more. 30 years of success driving incredible results for clients. They are an award-winning, technology-driven partner here to help you grow. We tell you all the time, if you want your bottom line to grow, if you want the phone to ring more, if you want more web traffic, if you need more people walking through the door, Click Here Digital can make that happen for you today. Find out how just by emailing me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com, Jordy at clickheredigital.com, or log online to clickheredigital.com, and you can learn more. All right, so remember, we had some sound from Brian Kelly earlier this week. Kelly was talking about the last weekend's win over Arkansas. I don't know if there was much look ahead here. Stewie, was there any on the Ole Miss game? Do you remember if he was talking at all? Did he talk at all about Ole Miss?
Yeah, he previewed them a little bit. I think it's clip like 4 or 5. But it was the pinnacle of coach speak, just kind of going down the roster. He clearly hasn't been he wasn't focused on Ole Miss yet. It was a lot of reflecting back on Arkansas and then going down we're about to start getting ready for Ole Miss.
You'll hear from Brian Kelly today, as it'll be the SEC teleconference this morning, where you hear from all of the conference coaches. As Coach Kelly, you'll hear more of the shift in focus to Ole Miss this weekend. And then, of course, he'll have his radio show tomorrow. He'll meet with the press tomorrow afternoon, where he will. You'll hear more, obviously, about what he has learned about the Rebels going into Saturday. But here's what he had to say earlier this week when he took the podium on Monday.
Daniels again, Nabers, the running game was really solid. Really liked what we saw there. Thomas, there were playmakers out there on the offensive side of the ball. We come up with a big sudden change turnover. So a lot of good things there to get that win. And again, things to build off of going into this week against Ole Miss, who we know to be an outstanding football team. We got to go there on the road. And again, outstanding offense, number 2 in the SEC. Very aggressive defense. One of the top defenses in the SEC. I think they're second in the SEC in sacks. They're going to get after it. Jackson Dart's been, resilient, tough, physical quarterback. He's thrown for over 1,000, and he's rushing the football as well. We know about Jacques from last year. Watkins leads them in receptions. And then, again, a very difficult defense to go against because they're so physical and aggressive. So, a rivalry game again in terms of the Magnolia Bowl trophy game. And again, got to go on the road against another SEC opponent. So, looking forward to the challenge. We've got some things that we've got to get better at, just like everybody else in the country, but looking forward to the challenge.
Be a 5 o'clock kickoff for LSU and Ole Miss coming up this Saturday at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium as the Tigers and Rebels take on one another. As we said, it'll be an interesting game for both sides with Lane Kiffin and Alabama Ole Miss falling to Alabama last weekend, and Brian Kelly and LSU looking for their second road conference win of the season and their third straight SEC win of this year if they can pull it off this weekend versus the Rebels. We will talk to Jacques Doucet coming up here at 8 a.m. and get his thoughts on where this LSU team is and what's going on. And I know Lloyd had a chance to watch LSU Gold last night. I have not started it. Any takeaway there?
It's not as, I would say this is like in any season of any television show. It feels like you get the one that sets up for the one. This kind of felt like a little Bridge the Gap episode, a lot of kind of like in-house stuff. It wasn't a lot of football like you'd expect to see. It wasn't, I'm not going to say it was bad, but it wasn't as good as the previous two have been. This is the one of the filler episodes, it felt like, of LSU Gold. So, I mean, obviously still check it out, but it wasn't as exciting as the game was. You know, with LSU, that wasn't what was featured. I thought it would be more LSU Arkansas. It wasn't. It was a lot of going into that week and a lot of mental health with Greg Brooks and kind of getting on the same page with the players. And what's the doctor's name? I'm sorry, Stewie?
Arnold.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of him. He's awesome. And so I think that was the big emphasis was him kind of
D.F. Arnold?
D.F. Arnold, Dr. D.F. Arnold, because I think this was kind of how they were talking about the Greg Brooks situation without talking about it, was getting all the players together, him kind of being like, look, I'm here for you. He goes out of his way to go talk to the players. He sits with them in the lunchroom like he's one of the guys. And so it felt like that's kind of what they were alluding to. They did the feature on the 3 sticker. They showed you the locker room after the game, for like the play for Greg Brooks moment. They had that back in there. So I think that was kind of how they were alluding to it. And then obviously a couple quick takeaways from the Arkansas game with the boot. And that was pretty much it. Get you ready for Ole Miss.
Matt Mose, y'all got me to pay for a year of gold. You're welcome, LSU.
There you go.
It's fantastic. It's a great inside look of LSU football and other things. I know that they're going to have some cool pieces like on the LSU women's basketball team who we saw take the floor earlier this week for the first time in front of 2,500 fans as LSU was having and going through their first practice. You got a chance to look at that roster and, you know, see the team on the floor together for the first time. There'll be a lot of behind-the-scenes access that is granted through LSU Gold with the defending national champs making a run at another one here coming up. So it'll be interesting to watch how that storyline plays out on LSU Gold as well. It's worth it, man. It is worth the membership for sure. I have really enjoyed being able to kind of tap into it and not only learn more about football, but learn more about what else is going on campus. Really, you know, I mean.
Well, everybody gets representation on this thing.
And by the way, after doing a little bit more digging, the Joyce Edwards storyline. Joyce Edwards is the number 2 player in women's college basketball recruiting this year out of South Carolina. The visit last weekend, I heard, was as immaculate and as good as it could have gone, and things are trending in LSU's direction to pick up Edwards possibly pretty quick. And I'm telling you, if that happens, that will be an enormous get for the program. And they've gotten look, they've gotten all the names, right? I mean, it's not as if they're unaccustomed to landing big players, but when you think of Angel Reese, Haley Van Lith, Michaela Williams, Anissa Morrow, and on down the line to Joyce Edwards as the next one in line as a 5-star women's player out of South Carolina, it just would be a huge get for Reedus, Mulkey, and the crew if they could pull this off. And it feels like it is good. It is good to keep. It is good. It's trending in the right direction. Spectrum Wellcare got LSU Gold after Jordy recommended. That's it. I'm taking screenshots of this. I'm sending it to Cody Worsham.
You're welcome.
About to get. I mean, how am I? What's the deal?
What are you going to get out of this?
I mean, what's the deal? What's my rate? I mean, can I get mine for free? I mean, for God's sakes.
That's all I want. Just an account.
Good Lord.
Maybe an interview. Maybe a feature on there.
I mean,
let me narrate.
Do we have a promo code? Maybe.
Yeah.
Just to track us.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
see where it comes
off.
From.
Yeah, right. Where'd you hear about it? But I mean, it is. And look, I'm in jest saying that, and I'm gonna kind of send it with an emoji with a little bit of serious on the tone.
We'll drop the cash bag.
To Cody, yeah, right.
But
I mean, it is an easy product to promote because it is. I mean, it's worth I think it's $8 a month. I think whatever it is. I mean, it's worth it.
That's one that I just charge to the game. I know that it's on the card. I don't even have to check because it's worth it. It's one of those that if it's on the account, that's fine. Just run it automatically. But another great part of LSU Gold is the vault. If you're like us, it throws you back to I think they have the Georgia LSU game featured on there right now from 2003. It just some of those trips down memory lane. If you really want to kill some time at work or whatever you're doing, just pop on LSU Gold. Nobody's going to know the difference.
Yeah, I saw they had the vault for the 2011 game. I forgot how much of a massacre.
Oh, my goodness.
That was a
kneeling with 5 minutes left.
Massacre. That was with Zach Mettenberger. Mm-hmm. That's when Mettenberger pulled the...
Oh, he did.
He pulled the fake.
Yeah.
He pulled the fake. Miles told him to kneel it out, and Mettenberger did the fake and pulled it and nearly scored.
Yeah, almost got
And
there.
he got knocked down at the 2, and Miles
Which
got after him.
That's as mad as I've ever seen him at an actual player.
That is. That's as mad as you've ever seen him publicly at someone.
It's probably the smartest thing he's ever done.
No doubt. I mean, and that was because Mettenberger just openly went against him, which to Miles, to a guy like him, Bo Schembechler.
The rules of the game.
I mean, don't you defy me, son.
Respect the sport.
Mettenberger's trying to how to screw this old guy.
He probably didn't tell anybody. He's like, I'm about to pull this thing and go 90.
Boys, I'm about to pull this.
Yeah.
Get ready.
But it was so slow too.
I know, but he had nobody around him.
Nobody,
and that kind of hurts him a little bit because you could see how just he's lugging, man.
He is
he's going for it.
From the 20 to the 2. I mean,
I should have done this.
Yeah, right. Where is the goal line? Get me there.
Y'all make this look easy.
That was fine. That was a Ron Brooks went off that night.
Oh yeah, pick six.
He had a pick six. He had a forced fumble. Yeah, I think he forced the fumble, recovered the fumble.
This team was so good. He did have a forced fumble.
And that Ole Miss team was so bad.
So bad.
Yes.
So bad.
Why did the quarterback try to float it
I don't know.
over the line, bro?
Is it more disrespectful to
Absolutely.
and he thought that was a good idea?
Absolutely.
It's Les Miles, bro. He wasn't.
I guess Mettenberger put him in that spot.
No, I mean that that would piss me off.
Oh, absolutely.
If I was an opposing coach and 5 minutes left in the game, the other team is kneeling.
Yeah, I would have just let him
on the 2.
I mean,
now you're putting me in bad field position.
I mean, I would almost call a timeout, walk across, and be like, "Yo, man, square me
fight?
up." Yeah, right.
Seems like you want to fight, bro.
Play me. That team was that night was a massacre. That night. I mean, Ole Miss knew who was the coach at Ole Miss.
Was it Houston Nutt?
Who was the coach at Ole Miss? What year?
2011.
2011. Who do you think?
Houston Nutt's a good guess.
Nutt still there.
It was him.
Isn't that who Saban wanted LSU to hire?
Yes.
What was that? Why would he do that?
Right.
I thought he wanted what's best for LSU.
Hey, sometimes Michael Jordan's not a good GM.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're
there weren't a lot of options then either.
When you're that close to it, I mean, you don't really understand what.
Hell, I had a hard time against Houston Nutt.
Right.
Get him.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what he was going off of.
Yeah.
That Houston Nutt was the part, the toughest to prepare for. Because he was
NFL
quirky and might
roster.
run the Wildcat with you. You know what I mean? Just Tuberville.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Murphy?
That 2011. 2011. When you look at when Saban left and the crop of coaches,
You know who really was high on the list? Bobby Petrino.
right?
I mean, Bobby Petrino was a big name. Houston Nutt was on the list.
D'Angelo Peterson got to catch it this game.
Don't remind me.
Ugh.
Biggest waste of talent, and it's not his fault. That man was a thoroughbred, and LSU could not find a way to get the football except for one time.
Mm-hmm.
One time.
Alabama game.
Alabama.
Yeah. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Katie's is located on Iberville Street, down in the heart of New Orleans, down in the heart of Mid-City. If If you want to learn more about Katie's, you can online at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com, been around since 84. New Orleans favorites on the menu, as well as St. Louis-style pizza. They got the coldest beer in town and the best service. You can hear it on the streets, so you can go find out for yourself online, katiesinmidcity.com. They have embraced the new Sunday. They have embraced Sundays as they've got new hours there. 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. is the number, or is the hours. And they've got 6 new televisions, so you don't have to miss a play. Remember, you don't have to miss a play over there at katiesinmidcity.com, katiesinmidcity.com. Andrew Messina, Rich Rod was on the list, wasn't he? I believe he was.
Yep.
On the list.
He might have got Mettenberger might have got in.
Can you play it?
He might have got in, Coach.
Really?
Yeah, he might have got in.
Did he roll in? Because
No,
it was like an ankle tackle, wasn't it?
Yeah, he might have got in. Let's see. So I get this thing there.
It's a Ron Brooks get you drafted game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tyron almost kills him.
Auburn, yeah, he does. He does.
Auburn pick six?
The Auburn pick six was fine.
That Auburn game was delicious.
Yeah, it was.
It was aesthetically pleasing.
It was.
I mean, they beat the hell out of everybody that year.
God, they did.
They
It
beat
was so
the
good.
hell out of it. Remember that Tennessee game?
Oh.
I mean, when they went to Tennessee and
goodness.
just, like, broke their will, man.
Morris Claiborne. Jeez.
Going up. I mean, their hardest game that year, aside from Alabama, was probably Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the closest game score-wise.
Georgia. I mean, they even ran away with that one.
Yeah,
Well,
they struggled with Georgia at first, though.
They did. They did.
And Arkansas.
Kenny
And Tyrann
Hill-
Matthew won both those games.
Kenny Hilliard. Michael Ford. He was so fun to watch.
7.
You think that man wanted that football? Absolutely not.
Brockers was on that defense.
Oh!
Ooh,
Kenny
look at the
Hilliard.
little inside trap.
There we go. Don't do it to me.
Bring me back.
Terrence McGee. Look at all these running backs they had, man.
Oh.
Little fullback action.
Little fullbacks had Stamps.
I don't even remember him.
Oh, there's the
remember
play
Jason
right
Toss
Toss
there.
dive, baby.
Spin, hit the B button.
Hit the B button. Quarterback.
Terrence McGee was so good.
Yes.
Freaky
Do it all.
athlete. Great baseball player.
I mean, 89 is walking him
that.
back.
He's underrated too.
Edwards.
Yes.
Yep. Here he goes.
Look at Matt.
He might have got in, Coach. Might have got in.
Oh, he scored.
He went for the dive.
That was a touchdown.
Touchdown, right?
He got hosed.
It's a touchdown.
He actually looked like he was moving right there.
He was moving. That was a
That was
touchdown.
a touchdown. He hit the pylon.
You think he sits back on the couch?
Yeah,
Pull it
right.
up. Pull it up.
He's in Alabama now.
Yeah, I know.
Sit down, you bums.
Listen,
Let me show you what it looks like.
Yeah, this is how you run a naked.
Show you how to run.
Hey,
naked,
Milrow. Let me show you what it looks like to run in the open field.
Put it behind your back.
son. Yeah, you gotta hide that thing.
I watched a couple Peyton Manning highlights when he did it. Probably the two most wide open bootlegs of all time. Zach Mettenberger and Peyton Manning when he pulled it on the goal line. There was, I mean,
Nobody in the world
nobody ever
thought that he was going to take that thing.
Like,
Cameraman didn't even have him in the
No.
shot.
He ran that?
Pate.
You got to take a time out here.
I mean, I don't think Peyton ever brings it up, but if he wanted to, he's got the ace card, huh? The Eli Manning trip against LSU in the Magnolia Bowl.
I know, like, there was, during that time, like, right after that, there was, at the Manning Passing Academy, like, they do, like, a night where they do, like, skits and stuff, and then you can, like, pass around the microphone and, like, ask questions. And it's pretty, you know, like, it's pretty open. Like, you know,
Yeah, it's
like,
free. It's fun.
Yeah, it's pretty free and fun. And I was, somebody told me that, like, one of these, like punk ass kids, like, takes a microphone. It's like, hey, Eli, tell the story about when you tripped and fell and gagged the SEC to LSU. And they were like, kid, get the hell out of here. Like, threw the kid out of the camp. Like,
Go see Archie.
Like, that's one of the things that's, like, completely off limits.
I was watching that, like, just that play the other day. It came up on social, and if you hear the announcers, I don't know if it's the Ole Miss, like, call, but whenever he falls down, they go, "Oh no!" Like, they're so heartbroken.
It was such a great game.
It was.
That's the thing about it from, Ole Miss's standpoint, that it came down to, I guess that's just what makes Ole Miss Ole Miss.
That's what everybody was saying, even then in 2000.
It's like, man, you're right there, and then you trip and fall over your own feet at the end.
Off the left guard got him.
It was a fantastic game, man.
Eli's coming.
Hit that like button if you don't mind. We're at 67 likes. We're looking to get 100 an hour. If you're sitting inside the chat and you hadn't hit that thumbs up yet, do us a favor and hit that thumbs up for us as we are looking to get to 100 likes an hour here on the show each day. Like we said, we're going to talk to Jacques coming up here at 8 a.m. We're also going to talk to Matt Bowers, who is a Ole Miss alum, former Ole Miss baseball player, and a huge auto dealer and, of course, successful businessman down here in the South. Going to stop by at 8:30 and talk a little bit about the Ole Miss LSU perspective. Also, I want to talk to Bowers about, in the world of NIL, and this is not trying to be disrespectful, can a school like Ole Miss really compete for a national championship? You look around and you see the influence of NIL starting to take shape in collegiate sports now, right? What are we, about 3.5 years into this thing? So, you've really had an opportunity to really, understand whatever the laws are now. People may not agree with them, and it may still be the wild, wild west, that you are legally allowed to go out and strike deals with college athletes and pay them. And the biggest winner on NIL, in my opinion, I don't think it's an opinion, I think there's fact that can back this up when you just look at the data and look at the programs that are having the success, is geography, right? Geographically, if you are sitting in a place that is South Beach, is the West Coast, is Austin, Texas, is places that are destination type cities, are going to start having success, right? Was it the University of Miami and South Florida that made it to the Final Four in basketball last year? Right? When's the last time you heard anything about basketball from South Florida? I'm saying
that was San Diego State made the Final Four.
San Diego State, but also
Miami was in there.
Miami was in there along with another South Florida team. It was it was a little bit like off brand from
the Blue Bloods.
Usual, yeah. There was no Blue Bloods in it, but geographically, it was destination type spots. San Diego State, South Beach, South Florida, where you're attracting these talent and being able.
Florida Atlantic.
Florida Atlantic.
Hoo-hoo.
Owls.
Ow.
And now you look around football. Who's having the biggest resurgence?
Texas.
Miami.
Texas, USC, Miami. They're all three feeling like they're getting closer to back than they were 4 or 5 years ago.
That Florida State Miami game is going to be real interesting.
Oh, I think
the Florida State Duke game is going to be interesting.
Yeah. But Florida State Miami, because I just think Miami has the dogs to match up with Florida State on the outside.
Marcus Stewart at Jordy, College Station, not an idea city. They're winning NIL because they're paying double the rate. Think about what the storyline around Texas A&M was, is that they spent an exorbitant, what was the number that they were pulling out? Was it like $30 million? No, I doubt it was $30 million, but let's say it was 10.
Yeah.
Nobody out there was doing that at that time. And, 17, 18 years old, I don't care if I'm in a cow town or I'm in South Beach. You're paying me, say what? Yeah, I'll do that for 3 years. So, if you're going to compete in towns like College Station, you got to have a booster. You've got to have boosters with unlimited funds. Right? You got to have people that are saying, hey, look, he's being offered X amount to go to Texas. You're going to have to double that to get him into College Station. And there's probably 30 people that are like, screw it, double it here. So, that to me is the biggest winner. The schools that are winning the most in NIL is destination places, destination towns, destination programs. San Diego State, that's probably pretty easy to sell once you get them on campus. Like the backyards of the Pacific Ocean.
FAU.
They wear bikinis to class here. In fact, you don't have to go to class.
Just go to campus.
I mean, and oh, by the way, here's a couple $100,000 for the next year.
Taxes. But I think the biggest winner in all of this, and it might be the biggest loser also, feels like it's the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. I mean, it's struck parity faster than
it
anything.
Would have taken 20 years.
How many times? I mean, how many schools, how many programs, how many conferences have been chasing parity for the last 15 years against the SEC with not even moving the meter?
No,
nobody has even really threatened the SEC outside of Ohio State and Clemson. That's it. 2 schools, not their conferences. Everything else has been the Southeastern Conference. In 3 years that NIL has been enacted, the SEC is on a level playing ground with seemingly everyone now. I mean, potentially the Final Four this season may not feature an SEC team. Well, I guess you're going to take the winner of the SEC championship, but you might only get one, and it might be the fourth seed. It just, there were years over the last couple. We're talking about, could the SEC get 3 teams in?
Possibly 4. Yeah, it's changed dramatically. I mean, obviously you still have Georgia lurking over there in the East, but it's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The SEC champion is going to the Final Four,
right? But it just feels like they're beating up on each other so much, and it used to be able. I mean, you don't have to go back that far. 2011. Or 2007, excuse me, where you can have a 2-loss national champion. And that was because the SEC was kind of given the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if you're going to be able to pull that card out this year for the SEC to get a second 2-loss team into the tournament.
No way.
It doesn't feel like that. Like last year, it felt like
college football's too good.
Right? There's too much around you.
There's just too much around you that you will take. I mean, there's too many players out there that make more sense, right? And we know inside of that college playoff committee, they're going to look at head-to-head matchups. The SEC is over. I mean, they haven't beaten anyone. Every opportunity they've had, they have tripped and fall. I mean, they've fumbled. I mean, whether it was LSU, Florida State, Texas A&M, Miami, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Alabama, Utah, Florida, every BYU, Arkansas.
Oof.
Every matchup they've kicked it. I mean, it's not what it used to be. I mean, and that's NIL affecting that where, I mean, overnight Miami got an offensive line. Last year when you watched Cristobal's program play, you were like, well, I mean, like, I love his energy. I love his enthusiasm, but they still don't have anything up front. They now have a line of scrimmage. They were shoving A&M around. A&M's got a really good defensive line. A&M had 13 tackles for loss last week against Auburn with that defensive line. I mean, they're starting to play. They're starting to come around. That's the same defensive line that Miami manhandled 3 weeks ago. Like, shoved them around. Same thing Texas did to Alabama. I mean, Alabama was getting flat-backed in Bryant-Denny by Texas offensive linemen up front. Something I never thought I would see. LSU's getting shoved around by Florida State. I mean, 3 years ago, you never thought those players would leave the conference. You never thought those players, those guys, those high-end players, because you were always selling, hey, look, if you're as big time as you think you are, then you got to come play against the best. You got to come play against the best week in, week out. You can't go to some other conference and not give an NFL evaluator a true breakdown of who you are. Now, programs and schools are just paying above that.
SEC versus other conferences in 2023. What do you think the record is? They've played 12 games.
12 games? 2-10?
5-7.
Damn, that's a lot better than I thought it was. Who's the 5?
The 5 are, you have wins with Missouri over Kansas State, Mississippi over Georgia Tech, Mississippi State over Arizona, which feels like Arizona let that one get away.
Ole Miss Tulane?
Auburn over Cal, Tennessee over Virginia. That's it. That's your 5.
I mean, the most impressive is Missouri.
Yeah, they're on the schedule.
At 11 a.m. Oh, I mean.
Wake up, fellas.
Back to the parking lot.
So, I mean, that is, from an NIL perspective, the geography and the schools, the destinations, those are the ones that, are going to be the toughest to compete with. Even like schools like Alabama, LSU, Georgia. I mean, schools that have traditionally been competitors in college football, you're still going to have to, LSU's going to have to play above rate. He's going to have to pay, they will have to pay above rate for players that are seriously considering Miami, Texas, USC, San Diego. Like these destination places, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, they're going to have to throw, you have to throw a couple of.
Well, I think Texas is the biggest one because you've seen Shea come on here and say it's no longer an LSU-Alabama recruiting rivalry. It is LSU-Texas. Because LSU was going into Texas and grabbing all of their crown jewels of the class that they wanted.
Caden Durham and
Colin Simmons
Simmons
is who, they were trying to do it again. And you get one of the two, but it feels like a lot of people were trending that you were going to get 2 for 2 until something changed.
Derek Williams, Dominic McKinley. You think those two got NIL deals? I'm sure to get Dominic McKinley at A&M, they had to pay him more than any other school. And I don't mean that begrudgingly to Texas A&M. They understand their model. I am not and have ever knocked A&M for embracing and investing in the NIL method of recruiting. You're stuck in College Station, Texas. It's not a destination town, just like Baton Rouge is not a destination town. But for A&M to compete really on the NIL scale, you got to overpay, just like LSU's got to overpay. So to get Dominic McKinley to A&M, I'm sure it was a tough deal to turn down, just like the situation with Derek. I'm not saying that that's why LSU lost them completely. But, that stuff's in play, man.
Factors.
That's big time in play for sure. And these destination towns are big winners here early on in the NIL process. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof. Our friends over at Go Roof are online at GEAUXroof.com. Been in business for over 15 years and ready to help you today. They'll jump up on the roof and tell you what the problem is. If you've experienced hail, if you think you've got roof damage, if you know you have roof damage, but you don't feel like working with the insurance adjuster or even understand how any of that works, then easy for you. You can get in touch with Go Roof, and they'll handle all of that for you. 225-927-8300, whether it is commercial, whether it is residential, or you just need roofing repairs, let Go Roof take care of it today. GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com. A beautiful roof every single time, but the phone number is easy, 225-927-8300. Hopefully by now you've typed that into your contacts list. You have saved that in your phone as your roofer. Go Roof, GEAUXroof.com. If not, dial that up, 225-927-8300. Save that to your contacts. You've got Go Roof on your speed dial now, so whenever you need roofing repair, if you've got a roofing problem, you've already got your number to your roofer dialed into your phone. 225-927-8300 is the phone number, or online at GEAUXroof.com. We'll be back with Jacques Doucet of WAFB 9 Sports, and hopefully, maybe, big announcement. We'll see. Jacques, come back with us here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B, live here on our Click Here digital campus.
Update the lower third for JD.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True. Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Here, the Jordy Culotta Show, as always. We were built by RMB Builders. You're taking a look at that Drew Brees jersey. You see it on your screen here, right to the right of me. Details for our Drew Brees LED jersey and our 2 Saints ticket giveaway coming up on October 19th. That's the game is on October 19th. The giveaway will be Friday, October 13th. You have an opportunity to jump in. All you have to do is find Signa Frames on Instagram. Just search Signa Frames and make sure and like, comment, tag 3 people in that post, and you will be eligible to win this Drew Brees jersey and giveaway. Lloyd, kill the lights, if you don't mind. Show off the LED. We'll do a little light show for you here on the Culotta Show to start you off in the 8 o'clock hour.
Before you turn off the lights.
Yeah, there you go, JD. Wow, hit a note for us. You see the LEDs there on the Breeze jersey. It comes with the frame, the card. You get 2 Saints tickets for the October 19th game, the Thursday night game versus the Jags. We will close down the giveaway on October 12th. We will announce the giveaway on Friday, October 13th. And again, all you got to do is follow our friends Signa Frames on Instagram, like, comment, tag 3 people, and you're eligible to win. We'll have the giveaway here for you coming up on Friday, October 13th. All right, our good friend Jacques Doucet is with us every week here. Jacques, can we use that?
I
Take it down.
I put a question mark.
There's a question mark. Calling
down.
a shot.
Look, that
Is this a bad spot?
That all come out in good time.
Yep. Okay.
And we'll see what happens there with our management and when they want to announce all that stuff. I appreciate that. But
you know where our heart lies.
You got our vote.
But real quick,
I'm not leaving. I'll say that. I'll still be there one way or the other.
Give me so the big news in our industry, in your industry, television is Steve.
Yeah, and that's what we want right now to be about. I think is that
absolutely
people need to realize that Steve Schneider has impacted the sports market in Baton Rouge forever.
Yep.
Really. I mean, for those of you who are maybe only 25 years old or whatnot, who didn't grow up in the 80s or the 90s, high school football was not covered. Not to the extent that it is now. I mean, the Advocate might run some articles here and there. Local news might cover Catholic High and whatever game was going on at Memorial Stadium. But Steve was the one to say, look, there's some great football being played in Gonzales, Sandoval, East Ascension. There's some great football being played out at Lutcher and East St. John. People, us in Baton Rouge, we don't maybe know that there's televisions out there that are watching Channel 9. Kentwood, I mean, that's a long drive to get up there. I mean, that's a big investment to tell somebody, hey, you're going up I-55.
Yeah, we're laughing at our boy Ron.
Sending Ron to Kentwood Friday.
Intern Ron.
That's right.
Cut his teeth up in Kentwood.
Yeah, hey, look, it's like a fraternity, man. You're a pledge. You're getting hazed a little bit. You got to go. So, yeah, Ron's doing a good job. He's learning about the business.
That's right.
But yeah, Steve started Sportsline in 1990. And for those who remember, and still on, but my generation, NFL Primetime with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. I never missed that show.
It was awesome.
And every week. And so this was kind of the high school version of that. We're going to show Sportsline I'm talking about. We're going to show 2 or 3 minutes of the biggest games, and we're going to take you there. And it became it is a South Louisiana tradition where the players would run home, hopefully hear their name on TV, see themselves, the coaches, the families. And not to get melodramatic, but Steve, one time there was a parent that came up to him somewhere and said, thank you for giving us our kids back. And he said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, in the past, the kids, they would all, go out to the dead end or the levee or something, and they'd go drinking and partying, but then they decided to stay home with their parents and watch the show on Friday nights or get together with their teammates and watch the show somewhere. And so of all the things
what a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's a shot one time of the Catholic High, like the bus was blocking in somebody, and the Catholic High team came out. I think it was around 1990, like at the beginning of Dale Weiner, where the kids physically picked up the bus and they walked it and they moved it.
Wow.
So those kind of moments that have nothing to do with the game on the field that made these big moments. And so literally, you're talking about generations of guys who watched the show, and and Steve, when I got into TV, you think, okay, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be a celebrity. I'm going to show up and read for a little bit. I'm going to maybe go to the bar and have a couple beers between the 6 and the 10. I mean, that's naive. Like 20 years old, you're thinking that stuff.
Sure.
And then you learn about logistics, and you learn about what it took to get that video. And, back in the day, like in Omaha, when they would put tapes on a plane, literally, because not all the games were on TV, or on a Greyhound bus, go to the bus station on Florida Boulevard, get the tape that was sent from wherever. Right now, everything's on TV.
Sure.
And back then it was like, call the
affiliate.
Call the CBS station in Columbus, Mississippi, because the LSU Mississippi State basketball game isn't on TV tonight. Call CNN, book 10 minutes on AMC 5 upper the satellite. Go in there, dial it up. These are just the things that I had to learn, And so Steve has been an amazing boss, a tireless worker, and in an era, and look, and I'm not excluding myself from this, we are the most self-indulgent generation ever. Instagram likes, I'm building my brand, all that stuff. Steve was never about that. It was always about the content. How much stuff can we get into 3.5 minutes? He was never about me, I, trying to make myself a star. And so yeah, he announced his retirement. He's got some beautiful grandkids and a family and everything, and he's obviously, he can come by anytime he wants and all that. But yeah, I'm still processing it all. It's kind of, it's hit me. So.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can speak firsthand. I graduated high school in 1999. If Steve Schneider showed up to practice, like the week of a game, you knew, like, fellas, we're in a big one. Like, we're in it, boys. We are center stage this week. And Steve Schneider actually had a production company, maybe still does. I know his son is now heavily involved in high school athletics and does tremendous work.
Yeah.
But he produced our junior year highlight film. Like, Steve Schneider, like, collected the B-roll, went out, had a team out there, and cut it up, and actually did, like, he voiced our junior season highlight video.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I'm telling you, it is one of the coolest highlight videos that you've seen, just by his, like, by the production, really, by the, like, the ways that he would produce it. And, like, going back and thinking, this is like 98, like the production value of what it was, like, it still would hold up today.
Yeah.
I mean, of just what it meant. So, I mean, that was probably at the peak of Sportsline when I was in high school. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember getting off the games. We would leave the games, and wherever we would go after, we'd go to a house, we'd go to a park, we'd be somewhere. But we could not go until we watched Sportsline Friday night. We could, like, you were locked into what was going to be said or what happened. And Schneider, for that time, I mean, he was as noticeable and recognizable of a media member as South Louisiana had. He couldn't go anywhere without somebody saying, "There's Steve Schneider."
It was the opposite of when Paul Gates showed up, because you knew you were in trouble when Paul Gates showed up. The investigative reporter. Oh no, what did I do?
That's right.
The positivity. But I believe at the time at 10:30 they used to run Cheers, the sitcom, and they say, "Hey, look, we're making a lot of money off of Cheers. What are you talking about? Doing a high school football show?" And
wow,
sure enough, they got that done. And Steve has allowed me. I look at I'm trying to make the parallel. It's kind of like in football, the defensive linemen who engage the offensive linemen and then free up the linebacker to run around and make the plays. I mean, Steve has tackled a lot of the logistics that have allowed me to be Peter Pan and run around and go and do interviews and cover a lot of stuff. And has never once said, "Oh, well, he's the number 2 guy. I should be," no matter who you were covering a team, if you started covering that team, you covered them to the end. I've heard horror stories in other departments about, I covered this team all year long, and then they got to the championship or the Final Four or the whatever, and then the boss put himself in front of the camera, and then started taking up all the limelight. He never did that, and he was always a believer in whoever's covering the team at the beginning covers them the whole way. So I can't say enough, really, and I'll type an article. I'll do something here in the next whatever. But
you guys have a very irregular relationship in television. You usually don't last.
No, yeah, right? Like, I hear from Cobble all the time.
You would have been like swept off to like Tampa somewhere or some bigger market where like you were a guy that was number 2, but you were very talented. Like you could run your department, right? And how did that happen? Like how did that?
Well, I mean, I got hired in 2001. March of 2001. It's kind of funny. Steve was younger than I am now, but we're about the same age, 4 or 5 years. But and I was 24. I looked like I was 15.
You did.
I mean, I look so. You go back and look at that,
those
and it's
polo
like
shirts.
the white T-shirt underneath.
It was the move.
You looked like a high school pro.
Yeah.
I mean, I was eating creatine at the time. I was able to like put 225 on the bar and be benching it like 10 times.
Gotta get my lift in.
Now I put 165 on the bar and I'm struggling. But
legs up in the air.
I had so much testosterone and temper, and I'd lose my temper and I'd kick chairs, and I just such an immature, entitled guy, getting that job way back when. But I knew if I could weather the storm, and I knew if they didn't fire me within 6 months or a year, that they'd hired the best guy for the job. No ego trip, total humility. But I knew that I was gonna be the best guy for that job, and I had no reason to ever leave. Sometimes people go, "Wow, you're still there?" I'm like, well, why would I leave? It's like, Steve would say, Jacques, this week you're going to Tuscaloosa to cover the LSU Alabama game, and then on Sunday morning you're going to come back and cover the Saints primetime game against whoever on Sunday night. Well, twist my arm. Do I have to? What a terrible. I mean, my mom would get calls from relatives. They would say, they really pay him to do that? they pay him to go to these games and stuff? And look, any dream job, and it's the dream job, has things that if you don't do well, you're going to get fired. I can go out to a press conference and I come back with bad audio a bunch of times, or, I don't white balance my camera, or, you're working on deadline in a city you don't know how to get around, and you got to hit slot at 6 and 10. There's a lot of stress that comes with that. There's no doubt about it. But I just stayed. I never left. And my parents live in Lafayette. They could watch me. This is where I wanted to be. I'm like you. I grew up on this stuff. It never interests me to go to a bigger market. Just say I'm in a bigger market to be covering teams I don't care about. So that's why I'm still here. And Steve, same way, I guess. Steve's from Mississippi, came to LSU. I think originally he was majoring in engineering or something that was way over his head. And
sounds good on paper.
Yeah. Kind of like Caleb Jackson's mom wanted him to major in mechanical engineering. He calls him Caleb the Great. I was like, Mom, I'm great, maybe not that great. To be a true freshman and all that, doing mechanical engineering. But yeah, Cauble says it all the time. Like, he'll introduce me like, Jacques a unicorn. I've had whatever number 2 people, and he's been here 22 years.
Right.
So yes, that's uncommon that a weekend or number 2 guy would stay that long.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, like, your competition is like the Chicago Bears quarterbacks. I mean, like one a year. I mean,
a lot of talented people over there, but they've changed a lot.
Right. But that's just the nature of the business.
Yeah.
That's why you are the unicorn, right? I mean,
right. If you come from somewhere else, a lot of people love Louisiana and they stay here, but a lot of other people, that's how you move up.
Sure.
You go from, we're market like, our market size does not dictate who we are.
Right.
I think we're a market 90, 80, something like that. There are other markets that are like in the 40s and 50s that I would never trade to go work there because of sport. This is the best sports market in the country, or close to it, in my opinion.
Oh, no doubt.
You're an hour away from New Orleans. You can go cover the Saints and the NBA and the Pelicans
SEC,
and all.
NFL, NBA. Yeah, I mean, you got everything.
Your high school scene.
And not only that, like, contenders. Like,
Yeah.
you got, like, big players. You got Saints, LSU. You got, I mean, like.
Southern, HBCU, perhaps one of the best known HBCUs in the country. So it does, it doesn't stop. But yeah, that's just kind of how it's transpired.
I can't tell you how many people that I meet when we get to talking about, like, what do you do? Like, what's your profession? And I'll tell them, I'm in advertising sales, and we do podcasts. And what do you do podcasts? Around LSU sports. And, oh, yeah, what's it like down there? And they'll learn a little bit about the sports talk scene here. And they're like, I mean, is this a small city or is this like a major – I mean, like, it's the sports talk scene in Baton Rouge is comparable to a big city. I mean, it really is. I mean, like, it really – like, you look down the road in New Orleans, there's not like a dedicated sports talk scene there. In Baton Rouge, you could turn on your dial from 7 a.m. and keep it on until 7 p.m., and you could hear about local sports if you want. You could find podcasts like this one littered all over the place just speaking specifically about South Louisiana sports. It's a market that has very competitive and very intense sports talk. And the
viewers
always been like that. Like, even like Sanji, Ott, Condon, that crew, Hannagriff, that crew that was doing it in the 80s and 90s was outliers really to the scene.
Yeah. And you cannot get by with generic sports coverage. The viewers will let you know about it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is one of the big things about this market is, initially when I was struggling, you get angry and stuff like that, but they know more than you do. A lot of them. The fans and everything, and they're not going to tolerate a subpar, product. So I think that too, I had to get up with the speed of the game really quick because, you think you show up. I know about the earthquake game when Tommy Hudson threw to Eddie Fuller. Well, yeah, everybody knows that, like the back of their hand, and so, but it's great in that regard, and that you won't find a more passionate, engaged. This is what people build their lives around, their weekends, their travel plans, their all that stuff. They're hunting and fishing around LSU football and their teams, and so.
What did you make of practice number 1 for Kim Mulkey? Have you seen anything like that? You've been here for 21 years. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know if they had 2,500 there. That might be a little. But I think they had 1,500 or so that showed up. And to see, while we were there, they ran a lot of drills. It was just interesting to see Haley Van Lith in an LSU jersey running around for the first time, Anissa Morrow, Michaela Williams, all these new additions to the team. No, I've never seen
a buzz, right?
This much interest. I made a joke, that was like that crowd that showed up. That was like a 10-game total before Mulkey got here. In terms of as far as people showing up and caring.
Yeah.
Even the biggest male chauvinist pig out there who said, I don't watch no women's basketball. Now they're like, did Kim Mulkey get that girl out of the transfer portal? How we do it? they are, Mulkey.
You sell this Reese jersey in double XL?
You put sleeves on it?
And I just tweeted just a very benign soundbite from Kim Mulkey about just wondering, I wonder, is Angel Reese, is she gonna be motivated, making all this money? And in late September, just a tweet has got, all these Mulkey haters just all fired up, after Kim Mulkey, It's just amazing. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody move the needle like Kim Mulkey moves the needle. And so, it's going to be interesting. Now, look, and she says stuff like, and when we get beat, and we'll get beat, But, if they do lose the game. Have we ever seen LSU women's basketball lose a game before and the opposing rush the floor?
Right.
Is that the kind of thing that we have to have in the back of our mind? If they lose a game, are they going to rush the floor and cut down nets and all that stuff?
I said the other day that I was like, they're probably going to go undefeated, and it got back to her.
Oh, God.
And
Jordy?
Don't be putting that stuff out there every day. I'm like,
don't go ahead and crown us yet.
All right.
I was thinking about how she was going to sandbag it. She's probably going to say, listen, guys, we lost Alexis Morris. We lost LaDasia Williams. Are you
kidding? WNBA players.
Ain't you taking all this money?
Go undefeated, Jordan. Give me a break. Remember that? Didn't she say that the first press conference when they announced the bracket? Some people talking about Final Four. Give me a break. But she has really created a monster quicker than anybody in the history of sports.
It's unbelievable. It is. What did you make of Brian Kelly this week, Monday, and then this week of preparation? What do you expect on Saturday?
I enjoyed my little exchange with him. I got a chuckle.
That was good. I thought that was good. That was good.
Did the guy think he had coverage over the? No. His mom and dad will want you to think that. But I think he does a good job of explaining.
I do too.
You learn something when you go to a press conference with him. And I think he does a good job of pointing out, okay, this is where things went wrong in an age now where everybody or a lot of people demand their coaches win at the highest level. But at the same time, they're not supposed to coach the guys hard, and you threw him under the bus and all this. Right. I think what he said is true about the defense. They all need to do their 111 well. They need to simplify things. Guys are trying to do too much. They're trying to step out of their responsibilities. No greater example of that than in 2012 when A.J. McCarron's leading Alabama down the field and a cornerback decides he wants to rush the passer instead of stay in the flat, and then T.J. Yeldon catches a swing pass and goes in the end zone. That's the example of trying to do too much. So, look, the defense was not good. There's been 4 games LSU's played, and the defense has been less than spectacular, I would say, in 3 of them. And I would include the Grambling game in that. The fact that Grambling, the first 3 times they had the ball, marched long drives against your first-team defense. So I think LSU is 99 in the country in third down defense. I think they're 66 total defense. And Matt House, before the year, said we need to increase our turnovers and get better at third down defense. And I'm not sure they've done a real good job at that. So, I think this is going to be a really interesting game. I don't know what to make of Ole Miss totally. I know they've scored 73 points against Mercer, and they scored 48 against Georgia Tech, but they didn't look so great against Alabama, and then who is Alabama? So I think even still 4 games into the year, we have a lot of big questions about who's good and who's not. And, Oxford, going to Oxford is always a hostile, intense environment. You go back to Nick Saban 20 years ago, that they're going to honor that 2003 team this weekend. The Rebels are, I saw.
The Co-West champ.
Co-West champ.
Hang the banner.
They have it up there. I'm here to talk to Justin Vincent, and he's like, man, you got some nerve putting that foolishness up, because Eli Manning, that was an amazing team and one of the most amazing games ever.
It was, man.
17-14, right?
Yep.
LSU win over there. I think Devery Henderson got deep.
First play of the fourth quarter.
Matt Malk hit him. Back then, Nick Saban would have a media guest on his radio show every week. And I was the media guest that week. You would think of all the coaches that have a media guest, he'd be the last one, right? And, so Hawthorne's up there. He's like, well, this young man right here from WAFB TV. And I'm sitting up there, and, we're at Superior Grill. And it is, I'm like, are we playing the game here tonight? There are people hanging off the rafters. There's so many people there, And it was time. I had to ask, they let you ask 3 questions, okay? So it was rumored that Jimbo Fisher was going to become the new head coach at Mississippi State. So before I leave, Steve Schneider's story for you. Steve goes, well, you get a chance to be the hero tonight. And I said, oh, yeah? Well, what are you talking about? He said, well, there's a report that Jimbo Fisher is going to become the new head coach at Mississippi State. You're going to need to ask Coach Saban about that on his show. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So he's like, nope. So my parents went to the show, and I think during a commercial break, I stepped up. My mom had a Crown and Coke. I said, give me some. Took a big swig. And I said, I'm like, Coach, I don't want to upset you, but there's a report out that and he, well, that's news to me. And
right?
We're all about elevating our coaches, but and he made some comment like, maybe you should check your sources a little bit better. And then the whole crowd, boo! Yeah! Claps it, puts down the media guy, and then Hawthorne, well, let's take it to a break. I'm like, here's my dream job. This is what I've always wanted. I'm covering Nick Saban, John Brady, when John Brady was, not so.
I forgot they did the coaches show at
Superior Grill, man.
On the balcony.
Big Ragu on the front row, all those guys in there. And I'm just laughing because all the people that, like, screw Nick Saban, hated him, pitchforks, and everything. They were all there, This is the greatest thing ever. We got Nick Saban as our coach.
So good. Jacques, you're up. Coach?
Yeah, not exactly the, well, Coach, what's your favorite thing about game day? One of those softballs right over the plate. But, so those are some of my memories of LSU Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. I remember 2015. Remember, that's when Les was going to get fired.
That's right.
They showed up in those all-white jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just got smashed that day. And 2009, I was at the clock debacle. 1 second left,
That's
and
right.
Jefferson clocks it. And
Was that you or Cobble that caught him on the sideline?
It was Cobble.
Cobble caught him, yeah.
And then he denied. He
denied it.
He went to the Monday press conference like, I know there's a video circulating of me talking about a spike. And then he explained some. And there was another reporter in the market who didn't like the fact that Cobble
caught it.
Yeah. And then you could see it in his eyes when Miles started. He like got excited, like, oh, here's the explanation for that. You didn't really catch him red-handed, here's the explanation. But no, I think, it's clear as day that,
he's
Miles on the sideline.
He's running at him.
But that was an example. If they would have had, Jordy, if they would have had 2 seconds on the clock, they could have maybe made it work. But the fact they botched it so badly at the end, they were in field goal range, and they went backwards.
That's right.
They ran like a screen pass.
You got a penalty?
And the clock's running.
Yeah.
And Verge, I hope you don't mind me, sharing. Verge is standing next to me on the sideline, and he was like, what the? He was cursing. He was angry. Everyone's like, what is going on? The clock's just running. And Jefferson throws a Hail Mary to Terrence Tolliver.
That's right, and he catches it. And he's getting, and that's when he's telling him to spike it.
Right.
That's when he's saying spike it.
But because they had wasted so much time before that, they had no time. You can't spike the ball with 1 second.
He ran the flat pass to Stephen Ridley. And Ridley caught it, and he just got tackled, and they're standing there, and they're tick 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 tick.
Goes from 24
it's
to 6.
It is oh my God!
They just let it run out.
Oh my God! This is about to happen.
And in 2010,
he does it again.
Just months later, less than a calendar year against Tennessee,
he does it even worse.
The fire drill of the guys running on and off
Tolliver
the field and
checking in. Shepard's coming out. It's a debacle, and he gets a raise 3 weeks later.
I remember one of the quote Joe Oliva at the time. So LSU is 5-0 after they win that game against Tennessee, and Joe Oliva says, "Well, we have 7 games left. We'll see what happens."
Uh-huh.
And then at the end of the year, the quote was, "We just signed Les Miles to a 7-year extension, and we couldn't be happier." And the Tennessee game combined with the Florida game the next week, in which a holder throws an oval football,
that's right.
and it bounces straight up into the air.
Perfect.
And then and I realize you got to protect your brand, but the people defending Les Miles at the time, then they were like, well, actually, a study shows that an oval ball bounces straight up more likely than it. So it sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. That kind of thing.
Insert physics into this conversation. That's what Les was looking at.
Dude. The luck on this guy. And really, the week after the Ole Miss game, when LSU wore the gold helmets.
Yeah, the Arkansas.
He nearly mismanaged the clock that night, but he got bailed out. If you remember, the clock guy called him inbounds, and he still doesn't know what to do. And Jefferson hits this long pass down the middle that bails him out. It could have been back-to-back weeks where he ends up getting $50 million for it.
I'm not here to. I'm not crucifying the man. He won a lot of games. I enjoyed covering. I'm just saying that in many of those years, I saw things happen that could not be unexplained. Back to Robert Stack, Unsolved Mysteries. Update. How did they win some of these? That North Carolina opener 2010, where they're playing the North Carolina JV team, and
Pat Pete's got 2 punt returns.
Yeah, he ran all over the place, and they got down to the 1 yard line. And I threw it in the end zone at the end, and I think
Pat Pete.
I think there was interference, and
Definitely
they didn't call it. There was just a lot of, I don't want to say luck, but just fortunate things that seemed to happen back then.
Good to see you.
Good to see. Hey, I was worried. I'm like, do I know enough about this LSU Ole Miss matchup to talk about or whatever? And we just had a fun time going down memory lane. So that's what it is.
Great for Steve. Great stories this morning. Good to remember. Good. I hate to talk like he's Pat, but he's been a guy in the market.
Yeah, has already received lifetime achievement awards for broadcasting excellence and doing things a classy way and an unemotional way, and not afraid to break the tough stories that will get you reamed on the message boards. Doing what is popular sometimes is not always the right thing to do. And that's the most difficult thing about the job.
Jacques, a great friend. He's here every Wednesday. WAFB Sports. Check him out on Twitter at Jacques Doucet. We're going to be back. Matt Bowers is going to be through here. Really looking forward to talking to Bowers, a very successful businessman. A lot of love for Ole Miss. We'll talk to him about the NIL age and where Ole Miss kind of fits in, his view of this upcoming weekend, and much more. Come back with us. Remember, we're brought to you daily by Hughes AC, Hughes Mechanical, online, hughesmechanical.net, where you can get your air-conditioned service today, no matter if it's commercial or if it is residential. Get in touch with Hughes Mechanical online at hughesmechanical.net. Back with more Jordy Culotta Show after this. As always, built by RMB Builders. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
You have found the Jordy Culotta Show.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot. Wait, hold up.
But the Pope is Jordy.
When it go up, moving fast, already gone. Yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog. Just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing.
The Jordy Culotta Show, brought to you by Click Here Digital.
Malik Nabers, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long, do it right, do it light. Kyle Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
You know, besides myself. Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up. Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
All right, welcome back here to a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, brought to you by our friends over at Tiger Air. Remember the Zephyr model that you can find online at tigerair.com, TIGERAIRE.com. TigerAir.com is where you can find them. This is the Zephyr model. You can clip this onto your hat, clip it onto your shirt. You can use it in the ballpark. You can use it in the hunting stand. You can use it just for everyday life. Find it online at TigerAir.com. Our buddy Matt Bowers is stuck in Baton Rouge traffic, which just looks brutal. He's sending me screenshots and pictures of traffic. He is in gridlock. It looks like a parking lot right now on I-12. So
that is the move if you get stuck, though, and you're supposed to be somewhere,
that
especially for work. You just like, look, there's nothing I can do. I've been in here
What do you
for
mean
30
do?
minutes. Yeah, if you have to pull that move for an employee, like if been in that spot before, you're like, look, bro.
Very familiar.
Yes. If you start taking screenshots, you're in a tough spot.
Right. Yeah, right.
Don't fire me.
Look, man, I promise.
I'm awake.
Been up.
Yeah, been up. I've just been in this traffic, hitting my Tiger Air.
So we're going to talk to Bowers coming up here. Looking forward to it, man. Bowers is a great dude. He's got a great personality, man. He's fun to go back and forth with. He loves Ole Miss.
Loves
he's got
Lane.
Great relationships with the people over there on campus. And, you know, look, he looks out for them to stay competitive. So he's a great resource to talk a little bit about sports. And on the AAU circuit, as we said, he is a true player, man. I mean, his AAU teams are awesome. They're always swagged out. They always got the talent. It's fun to watch. All right, you got some trivia over there?
Oh, we
Maybe
can pull
some
it back
trivia.
out.
Yeah, why not?
Let's see. A little bump
And how much can we talk about this LSU Ole Miss game?
A lot.
What else you got on it? I mean, your two best offenses in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the two firepower offenses. Who can stop somebody?
I guess the thing that's concerning is what you've seen against LSU, what you've seen LSU put out there defensively is something that Lane could really exploit.
Absolutely.
I think it was in their first or second game of the year, they averaged 25 yards a play on offense, on like throwing the football, that's relatively high. I would
against
say.
Mercer.
Yeah, no, against Mercer, but still, like if you have those big play potential, it doesn't matter if you're running against air. That's execution that they can pull off. Which the only thing that makes me a tad bit nervous if you're an LSU fan is that defense feels like it could be exploited a little bit, especially on the back end. And what you've heard from BK is we're not changing anything back on the back end. You just want it does feel after watching Cassie's clicker last night, it's 1 or 2 spots away. If you want to be optimistic about it, it's 1 or 2 guys not on the same page. It's just something that can't continually happen.
Yeah.
And you saw this, I guess, in spots last year, but it got cleaned up at halftime. You haven't really seen those adjustments from the LSU defense. Like, what you got's what you got. And so you would hope that they can get that cleaned up, especially against an offense that they kind of dominated last year.
This is not a knock on Caskey's content. It is fantastic, but I was doing my best not to snore into this microphone.
Yeah, you would be. You're bad in the film room, Coach.
I was bad. I was a bad film player,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, I don't know how anybody can be a good one in a dark room in a monotone voice watching the same play over and over again.
Well, you gotta commit to winning.
Well, I hear the commitment to winning, but the dark room and the film, just the film setup is a setup for disaster.
Well, and imagine when they had like the old film that made like
Oh,
that perfect little
the tick,
word.
tick, tick,
Yeah, and
tick,
you're just like, this is pleasing. Yeah.
Then he has the
Uh-huh.
pointer. Hey, look at this. Come back.
Run it back. Bring it forward. I love film though.
Same.
Really?
Yeah.
I used
I
to
love watching
film.
tape.
Like I
feel like I know
was always
something.
like front row.
Yeah.
Like, and our coach would leave notes on our tape. It's easy stuff. Like,
I would go.
I can watch the tape if it's got notes individually at my own pace.
Mhm.
But the classroom setting with the dark lights and turned off.
That's not what you were in. You were here.
I know, but I mean, it felt very similar.
I
took you back.
See, we would watch film in like the gym. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, go ahead and fall asleep in there.
Yeah, no,
Oh, get to running.
We could hit these lines real quick.
Uh-huh. See, I would go early. Whatever, I was a freshman. I wasn't playing, but my brother was a senior. They would go early to the weight room and watch film, and they were on their own. And so I'd always go with them just to go watch because first of all, I needed a ride, and
Sure.
then that's where it kind of like cemented that and old like NFL matchup at 3:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Sal Pal Antonio,
Sal Pal,
Merrill Hodge, getting you ready for the game. Like I would always watch all that stuff because it feels like when you're watching, or like especially if you were playing, like I see something.
Mhm.
Like so you can pick up on tendencies that helps, obviously. And I feel like a lot on the high school level is probably left to be desired. But if you're playing for Caskey at where is he? Denham Springs. You don't think they're watching film?
40 points a game last 3 games.
You think they know what they're looking
They're
at?
lighting them up. They put
Yeah.
your boy on offense too.
Deshaun McBride.
Mm-hmm.
Need
I
him.
think he's gonna bring some.
Some of his tape next time, right?
Yeah, I think he's gonna bring some of his tape.
Ooh, who is not one of the 8 quarterbacks to win at least 20 games for LSU?
You made the choices.
Say it again.
Who is not one of the 8 quarterbacks to win at least 20 games for LSU?
Who is not
one of the 8 quarterbacks to win at least 20 games for LSU? Jordan Jefferson, Jimmy Field, Jeff Wickersham, or Zach Mettenberger?
Ooh, I'd say Met.
No, I met 120.
He did.
He'd have to go back 10 years.
I mean, did he
I mean,
win
10 games.
Did he win 10 back-to-back years?
I think so.
He did.
Yeah, they won 10.
Jimmy Field way before our time.
Yeah, I don't even.
I
why
would just
Tittle's
go-
not on this
I would
list?
just go, yeah, I would just go Jimmy Field. Just
I mean, I
because
know
it's like-
Jordan Jefferson did, huh?
Yeah. And I'll go Jeff Wickersham because I don't know.
Yeah, Wickersham.
Put him.
He was on some bad teams. right?
Wickersham's like mid-80s.
It is Matt.
Yeah, man. I mean, he only played 2 years.
I guess are they counting bowl games? Didn't they win back-to-back 10 win seasons?
Obviously not.
2012 they for sure won.
And 2013, that defense was so bad.
Oh God.
Did they win 9 games that year? 8 or 9?
9. Because they lost the bowl game to Clemson.
That doesn't count.
It does.
Taj Boyd game.
Well, actually, 2012 was the bowl game to Clemson, and then 2013 was against Iowa in the
rain.
Yeah.
That's when
in Tampa Bay, Odell caught the one hand.
Yeah, and
Anthony Jennings had to start. That was an ugly game.
But they ran the hell out the football.
Yeah.
And
DJ Welter game.
For some reason, LSU felt like they turned that game into a party.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just started celebrating every play. Like it was bizarre. They were just dancing while Iowa's great.
That's because a lot of those cats, that was their last game at
Mhm.
LSU.
Like we all leaving.
Right.
But yeah. But that's what I remember from that game. Is just okay. LSU's got a little bit of its swagger back, and then everybody was gone.
Hit me. What else you got?
Let's see. Oh, you're gonna know. I already know that one.
Which
Which quarterback is one of 3 to have attempted 50 passes in a game for LSU? Tommy Hodgson, Rohan Davey, Josh Booty, Joe Burrow. Is one of 3 to have attempted 50 passes in a game.
I'm going to go Rowe.
I'm going to say Rowe. But I'd say.
I mean, Joe's got to be a close second, but I'm gonna say Rowe too.
Joe didn't throw.
Didn't
the
have to
ball
ever
a
throw
lot.
it like
Yeah,
that.
Right.
Just beating people's ass, throwing it 25 times a game. Is it Rowe?
Josh Booty.
Josh Booty.
What game was that?
Good Lord.
Let Josh Booty throw that thing.
Josh Booty was like 99, 2000, and I guess they just 99 and 2000, right?
Who was the only quarterback to complete every pass he attempted with a minimum of 10 attempts? Herb Tyler, Tommy Hobson, Warren Rabb, Rohan Davey.
Let's say Hodson.
Guesses? You would think Herb because of what the offense that they ran, and he would probably, not have to throw it that often. But it's Rowe. Rowe got hot.
Was it Rowe? I mean, easy to believe.
Mm-hmm. Could also have been the first one to go 0 for 10.
No doubt.
All right. He threw the longest non-scoring pass in LSU history. Matt Mock, Jamie Howard, shout out. He's probably going to be at the Grove this weekend, I would imagine.
No doubt.
Anthony Jennings or Steve Ensminger.
Wow, what a list. Longest non-scoring pass? I'm going to go Ensminger.
Anthony Jennings.
I wish. It's Ensminger. The slinger, Ensminger.
Carlos Rogers?
It doesn't. I mean,
I
look
wouldn't
at what
know.
we're dealing with here, Coach. Need a bubbly sheet. Tommy Hodson still holds LSU's career record for passing yards despite Joe Burrow's 2019 season. That'd be a big ol'.
This paragraph.
True or false?
Wait, say it again?
Tommy Hodson still holds LSU's career record for passing yards despite.
I'd say true.
True.
I mean, Hodson was a four-year starter.
Yeah.
Not only was he a four-year starter, he was a four-year All-SEC starter. I mean, Coach, that's
hard to do.
That's when I really started paying attention to LSU football. And I'm telling you, like, my depression of, like, post-Hodson was real.
Oh,
like,
I bet.
That team, that program at that time, the way it, like, made its mark on me and left out, like, LSU football fell off of a cliff when those guys left. I mean, from Hodson to Harvey Williams to Wendell Davis to Eric Andelsack to Eric Hill to Greg Jackson, to Tony Moss, to Brian Kinchin, to Sammy Martin. I mean, like, Raji McGee, all of those guys, Nacho Albergamo. I mean, all of those guys, like, when I was growing up, they were like gladiators. I mean, like, those guys were like the untouchables for me. You know what I mean? Like, I remember my uncle would bring me to campus during that time. He was a student at LSU, and he would just like looking back on it, it's wild. This is what Baton Rouge was like, though, growing up. I mean, really, like, I was talking to somebody yesterday at lunch. I had lunch with somebody yesterday who's moved to Baton Rouge from New York, and they're like, the traffic is just like, where is everybody at? Because, like, there's nothing to do here. And I'm like, I know, it's crazy. I'm like, but growing up, it was really like kind of like a, it was really kind of like a cow town. I mean, it was really
Sleepy.
kind of like, it was kind of like gravel roads, and you know what I mean? Like, it was really quiet, you know, like, I mean, my uncle would go to class and he would be like, I mean, I was probably 10, and he'd drop me at like Mike the Tiger's cage and give me a watch, like one of these watches you would put in your pocket, and be like, meet me back here when it says like 3:00. And dude, I would just roam this campus like by myself for 3 hours, and I would end up in the football locker room. I would end up on Tiger Stadium's field. I would end up like, that's where I met Greg Stringfellow. That's like how me and Greg Stringfellow go that far back, when he was working for Jeff Boss, like interning on those teams with Hodson. And I ended up like coming back around with guys like Scott Ray and Jesse Daigle and these guys that were a part of the program. And all those guys were still in there, you know, like G String and like some of these guys that have been, Jack Marucci, that have been there forever. And I mean, like, those guys, those, like, you would go in there and Hodson and Eddie Fuller and Harvey Williams would all be working out, and I would think like I was in the presence of
gods,
royal. Like, I mean, it would be like these moments. Like, I still, like, I get the feeling today at 40 of my 10-year-old self being in the room with these titans. You know, like, I mean, I still see Tommy Hodson today Like Tommy Hotson's a pretty easy guy to find around town. He goes, I mean, he's a you can tell he's a very much a man of routine. Like he goes and eats at the same place. Yeah. He's usually there at the same time. He eats the same thing. You know what I mean? But and I won't approach him, because you can tell like he doesn't, he's to himself. But even like to this day, when you see him, I'm kind of like, oh, holy cow! Look, there's Tommy Hotson. I mean, like,
don't trip over your feet.
Yes, because at that time, man, I mean, he was royalty. He's still to a group. I mean, Hotson is a guy that has not embraced what his star power is.
I think he does like one interview a year.
It was Jacques.
Yeah,
Jacques the only one that can get him. Jacques is still to this day the only interview that I've seen Hotson do. For the first 10 years I was in radio, I went after Hotson harder than I went after anyone. I mean, it actually like took him being like, look,
I'm not doing it.
Stop.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, like stop. I'm not doing this.
There's nothing you can say.
Ever going to talk like Auburn game every year. Come talk about the earthquake. Yeah. I mean,
played miserable.
They played South Carolina for the first time. Like, come talk about the Black Death. I mean, like, he would be like, bro, leave me alone. Like leave me alone. And it got to a point where you're like, okay, my bad. I respect it. But he does not. I believe he was the guest captain this past weekend for the game.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know what his ovation would have been. Like when they announced his name, I still believe he probably gets like a roar from the crowd just because he was that dude.
And I think a lot of it gets probably lost. Like Hodson's before my time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know who he is because of what I do now, but I think a lot of it probably starts and ends with your age group where it was you were in the thick of it. Then you have 4-year starter Hotson's coming back like
it felt like he was never leaving.
Right.
I remember watching him in '89, like his last year, and it was like, and that was probably his worst season. His senior year was probably his worst year. You know what I mean? The talent had really kind of depleted around him. I mean, he had this mark on his back.
Well, that's what I would think.
What I mean? Like at this point, like everybody was gunning after him because he was just the most popular dude in the league. And that was like, I believe it was like Eric Zier that kind of like followed him up at Georgia. It was kind of like that next guy that like kind of played and lived on forever. It was kind of like the next Hotson of the league. But it just, he was so rare. And like now, like having, like 25 years of data where you're like, man, I don't know if anybody ever has had a 4-year starter like that performs at a all-league level every single year he's under center. I mean, that's unbelievable.
And especially with the history of what of LSU quarterbacks, like what it became, it's like Hotson was the ultimate outlier. Like LSU couldn't buy a quarterback up until, it felt like almost, you could pick and choose. You had spots of quarterbacks, but it was never, you got a guy that's coming, like sophomore going into his junior year.
Dude. And I mean, like he was holding off. I mean, like Mickey Guidry at the time, you go back and look at it, Guidry probably could have played at a lot of places in the league. I mean, like when they were playing against Alabama during that time, it was like Mike Shula was the quarterback. Guidry was as good of a backup as there was in college football at that time, and just to hold him off, like during that time and perform like he was pretty, just kind of, it was, thinking back on those times, those LSU teams were so good. Those late 80s teams. Kind of like 85 to 87, 88. I believe 88 were the co-SEC champs, and 87 they were 10-1-1. But the talent that they were putting in the league was incredible, man.
10-1-1.
All right, I believe I hear Bowers outside the studio. We're going to get him in and talk a little Ole Miss, LSU before we get out of here. A little extended cut of Culotta's show today, of the Jordy Culotta Show. If you don't mind, hit that like button.
You about to say Culotta's
hit that
clicker.
Share button. Hit that comment if you don't mind. We'll talk a little bit more of this LSU Ole Miss matchup with Matt Bowers, a good friend and a very successful businessman down here in the South. We'll talk about that, all of that next here. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Oshner. Ochsner Sports Medicine and Andrews Institute, of course. It doesn't matter if you're a pediatric patient, a high school athlete, a member of the Saints, the Pelicans, a weekend warrior, or even a senior citizen. We all turn to Ochsner's Andrews Sports Medicine's Institute for care. Online, ochsner.org/sports medicine. Remember, on Saturday mornings, the Grove Complex is open 8 a.m. until 10:30 over there on Bluebonnet, where your high school player, if you're a high school player, if you're a parent, you get injured on a Friday night and you're looking for a place to go get treatment, you can always get over to Ochsner on a Saturday morning, as they're open over there at the Grove between 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. every Saturday morning off of Bluebonnet. All right, we'll come back with Matt Bowers next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by RMB Builders, live on the campus of Click Here Digital.
The Bauer Hour.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Stick in the roofing.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, live here on this Wednesday morning. If you don't mind, hit that like button, share button, comment button. If you have not subscribed, make sure and subscribe to the show before you get out of here. I've been looking forward to this conversation because of just the state of NIL. We were talking NIL in the first hour, and really the big winners in NIL in the first 3 years seems to be geography, destination places, South Florida, West Coast, Austin, Texas. You've seen a big resurgence around that group. A Ole Miss alum who loves Ole Miss, a very successful businessman. You probably recognize the name. You see him on the back of cars all over the place in the state of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, all throughout the SEC. Matt Bowers, he is a good friend. I actually met Matt on the AAU basketball circuit. My son was playing, and Matt and I were just leaning up against a wall and ended up striking up conversation, find out what he does, obviously, and then the Alvin Kamara stuff a couple of years ago, the Nola No Call. He comes on the radio show with us, and it's all kind of worked out, and we're good friends now. And it's good to see you, buddy. Good morning.
It's great to be here. It's great to be in Baton Rouge on this week, especially. It's a week I look forward to every year.
Mm-hmm.
Most years it doesn't end up the way I hoped, but I'm a Louisiana guy who loves Louisiana, who happened to go to school at Ole Miss, so it's a special week.
We were talking NIL and kind of the way that college sports is trending now, and I wondered, I don't mean this in any disrespect because I think LSU will be in this conversation before due time. Can you really compete at a school like Ole Miss in today's age of competition within collegiate sports?
I think absolutely you can, and I think that
for championships.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that if you look at, when I think this in a short summary, and we can get into the granular stuff. Mm-hmm. I think the people that were good at it before it was legal are good at it now. Frankly. Sure. Okay. So you're bringing up all these destinations. A&M was good at it before it was legal. LSU was good, and Ole Miss got a reputation that right. So I think those people are going to be good at it no matter what. Right. But when it first happened, I basketball. We talked. You introed with basketball, and I'm in the basketball world. On the AAU and the EYBL stuff a little bit, and I said it when it happened that there's going to be a school, a small school, so think like FAU or San Diego State.
Sure.
Those are not schools, it's Duke, Kentucky. Well, in the Final Four, you got Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. Okay, and I don't know, Florida Atlantic is
University of Miami was there too.
University of Miami, and these are schools that with a basketball program, you can really affect it, $3 million, you can get to the Sweet 16. And all it takes is one. So I think to your question though, I think LSU, A&M, Texas, Tennessee are set up in a better position because their fan bases are more professional style fan bases. They're very big and broad. These are very big schools. So I think the future of success is going to be $30 a person times tens of thousands of people. I think that's more sustainable, in my opinion. But Ole Miss, schools like Ole Miss and some others, I think you can have success. I think it's got to be some strategy involved with, how you execute.
Yeah. What's the feeling on? I know you have a good relationship with Lane Kiffin, and you guys are tight. What's the feeling on him around campus? Just like in particular, I don't want to put you in a spot, but this week after the Alabama game, I mean, he's built that game. We've seen that in Baton Rouge. Les Miles built that game up, and didn't have a lot of success in it, and people kind of fell out of favor with him because of that.
No, I think Lane is extremely smart guy. He's very different than what he comes across on social media. Obviously, he's more introspective. He's not a big talker, frankly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. He's an introvert, right?
He is. He really is. But he's very smart and very thoughtful. I mean, the guy's coached high-level football, been around professional-level football for a long, long time. I think that, the Alabama game for us is a game that you wanted to have. This is a game that you have to have. Mm-hmm. So I think Ole Miss has won 3 out of the last 5 in Oxford. Mm-hmm. I think Chad Kelly beat LSU, Matt Corral beat LSU, and let's see if Jackson Dart can do it. I think they got – I think it's a thing where, if you're Lane Kiffin, you need a good venue, you need support, and you need a good place to live and all that. And I think he's sort of settled into what this is. I don't think it's looking for the next thing, because really, if you're at Ole Miss and you win 9 games a season, they build a statue for you. You win 9 games a couple of years in a row down here, and they're looking to run you out of town. Right. Okay.
Depends on the 9 you win.
So I mean, where do you really want to go? You know, so if you're getting paid $9 million a year too, it ain't a bad gig.
Yeah.
So I think he wants to beat Alabama, but beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa was already going to be tough. I mean, a lot of people talk they're down. I mean, they got a bunch of 5-star guys at every position on defense. Their defense didn't look down last week. I can tell you that. So,
you see parity starting to spread throughout college football and really leave the SEC. Why do you think that's happening?
I think it's a product of the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
And so if goes back to the first conversation, about NIL, the emphasis on recruiting 5-star, 4-star talent at a high school is always going to be there, but it's less important in certain positions.
Mm-hmm.
So, it leaves the door open for other schools to go get some of these kids, and they develop faster.
Yeah.
We talked about Keon Coleman a little bit. Keon Coleman was a guy who's from Opelousas Catholic who didn't, LSU offered him, but he was the 5th guy they offered in that class. Well, he didn't forget that when he transferred either.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So I think some of the kids that go to some of these ACC schools and stuff like that, there's just more depth of people. And I think they're going to get better quality high school level kids sooner.
Yeah.
The SEC, you can't make great investments in people or ask donors for investments in people and then have them sit or redshirt for 3 years.
How real is the competition? Will Wade used to tell us this all the time that, look, I start scouting guys when they're 9th, 10th grade, and they look like basketball prospects, but then when they get to junior and senior year, they become Quincy Wiggins and they turn into a defensive lineman for the LSU football team. How much do you guys see that? Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe Keon Coleman came through you and Liv's program.
So the Live On is Randy Livingston,
Mm-hmm.
who's a LSU former player, and myself, and we have kids. So we had a workout in Mississippi last weekend, and there's a kid out there that's 6'7", 250 pounds. He's in the 9th grade. And looking at the kid though, I said, "What, do you play football?" He says, "Yes." Actually, he's going to be at the Ole Miss LSU game this weekend. He's going to go on a visit up there. He's a left tackle. There's another kid from Mississippi, who's 6'3", dunks backwards, and as good as he is, he's probably going to be catching touchdowns for LSU or Georgia in the SEC. So you see a lot of the best players. Jamar Chase was like that. A lot of the best basketball players that come through South Louisiana end up being football players for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a lot of that.
How good was Randy Livingston? For the people that don't know.
Okay.
For the people that don't know.
I try to explain.
Yeah.
Not many people know this, but Randy went to Curtis.
That's right.
That's how I know him. I went to Curtis we both went to Curtis through junior high.
In the story, on the first day of 8th grade, when he walked out of his door, they had a car from Curtis and a car from Newman in the driveway.
I wasn't there. This is during the Dale Brown. Like anything's possible with Johnny and Dale.
No, this is like high school stuff. I'm talking he was being recruited to high school, right?
So I grew up playing against him. He played for Nord Uptown. We played Biddy basketball, and then we played together in junior high. And I'll say this: he's humble, so he'll. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
If he was born a year later, he'd have been the first pick in the NBA draft. He was that good. He was the best I ever saw in person or ever was on the court with.
Ever.
Okay, and I saw or was on the court with guys like Kerry Kittles and Jerry Stackhouse. Randy made Jerry Stackhouse look like, my ex-wife on the basketball court. Okay, so Randy was that good.
Still taking shots.
I'm a petty guy. You know that, okay, so he was the best I ever saw. He was that good.
He was. Man.
Oh yeah, he was that good.
What does this game mean on Ole Miss's campus? It's always a big one on LSU's campus. What does it mean when LSU comes to town?
Look, everybody wants to punch up a little bit, so, Mississippi State is undeniably, our rival.
Mm-hmm.
But, frankly, LSU is as big or bigger of a rivalry game for us up there as State is. So that's a fact. So this weekend in Oxford, it'll be wall to wall. It's always rowdy up there.
Tent to tent,
and it is going to be it's going to be a live environment. But look, LSU is a huge game for us every single year, especially at home, and especially in up years. Like, look, we got a good team.
Yeah.
This is a good team that we have this year. We have, we've had good teams. We have guys that played in the pro. A.J. Brown, D.K. Metcalf, Elijah Moore, Matt Corral, Evan Ingram, goes on and on and on. So we've always had those kind of players. The problem with LSU and Alabama, it comes down to the trenches.
Yeah.
LSU can run 4 guys off the field, run 4 more back on the defensive line that are all pros. We're not that deep in those positions. But in the skill positions, I think Ole Miss is going to score some points this weekend. I will say that. I think they're finally healthy, which last week against Alabama, Trey Harris, Franklin, the wide receiver, and then they have a tight end that's going to be a pro.
Uh-huh.
He only played, I want to say, 20 or 25 snaps.
And not Trigg.
Not Trigg. Trigg's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trigg's not on the team anymore.
Wow.
But this kid's a transfer from Memphis. Caden Priestcorn is his name. So I want to say he caught, 15 touchdowns last year from Memphis. But Trey Harris has had 5 touchdowns in really 1 game and 1 drive.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to score points this weekend. I think they're healthy. I think it's going to be who turns the ball over. Last year in Tiger Stadium, I was there for that. I think we got out 14-0 in that game.
Yeah.
And then
17.
2 things happened. Yeah.
It was 17, yeah.
17. Was it 17? 2 things happened. Then
Harold Perkins.
Jaden Daniels went unconscious, okay? And then they kind of unleashed Harold Perkins finally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go tackle number 2.
Right.
And that was it. That was all. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully LSU gets back to that game plan with
Real
Harold.
quick, Tiger fans would be curious. What's the future? Is the future Walker Howard at Ole Miss? Is he kind of the guy that you look at and say?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he could play now, in a lot of regards. But I think he definitely is up there.
Yeah. Tony J, tell Matty B that Tony and Jake hello for me, and tell Matt to stop spending money on Ole Miss and start pumping money to LSU.
I do.
That is, Tony J Moranto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is his his kid played ball
that's what he says.
for me. But look, I do a lot of stuff for LSU, quite frankly. You know what I mean? So I love all the communities and schools down here. So I'm not like painting my face and stuff like that. I just went to Ole Miss. You know what I mean? And so I do a lot for LSU or UNO, Tulane.
Absolutely.
Look, I try to support the people in our community and the relationships you have really with the coaches. So the NIL stuff, it's hard to, that's so new just as of 2 years ago. And in not every sport, LSU was an early adopter in baseball to that. Whereas if you talked about paying a kid in baseball at Ole Miss, it was like you released a live snake on the table. You're like, wait, we don't need to do that, And so,
it's baseball.
What about the defensive end?
No, yeah, exactly. But now that's kind of what it is now.
Yeah.
That's absolutely what it is.
You're tight with Kamara. My last one, I'll get you out of here. He comes back this weekend. What do you expect from him?
I mean, I think Alvin's in good shape, and I think he's ready to play. And I think Derek Carr is not going to be out that long. I mean, he might not play this weekend, but I can't see him not playing in 2 weeks. So I think he's going to be back sooner than later. I think that to use Alvin effectively, you got to have a quarterback that can process. I mean, all this pressure they're getting. If you had a guy like Alvin made all of his money in go back to the NFC Championship game a few years ago. He's running option routes against linebackers, and that's a tough ask for a linebacker. I think Alvin's going to have a great year. I think he's in the best shape that he's been in. His attitude's really, really good. He just really enjoys being, a New Orleans Saint, loves playing.
He looks like a Ferrari. Speaking of cars, you obviously know this name, Matt Bowers. You see his name on the back of automotive and autos all over the state, whether it's here, Mississippi, Tennessee. He's all over the SEC. He's a great friend. Great to see you, man. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Matt Bowers from Matt Bowers Auto and Matt Bowers in LSU. Ole Miss alum. An Ole Miss alum. Thanks for hanging out with us a little longer today. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button, subscribe if you have not done so. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. right here from Click Here Digital.
There you go.
Horsebauer.
A lot of people
Hey, Chino. Put my headphones up, bro. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next? Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends.